everyone, happy Wednesday. It's Alysia here, and I'm very excited to be with you for our weekly global online fireside chat. Today I'm broadcasting to you live once again from an early San Francisco, California, and enjoying the amazing, beautiful California summer. As always, today we have an amazing session planned for you. We are delving into blockchain and ICOs, something that's very personal to me, and I can't wait to hear from our panel of brilliant VIP guests joining us from across the globe on all they have to think and say about this very mysterious, exciting topic. For those of you who don't know, our topic for today is ICOs, the current state and what's next, considerations, risk, opportunities, and potential surprises for both entrepreneurs and the financial ecosystem. Now I've got you all excited. Let me go ahead and introduce you to our VIP guests before asking them to properly introduce themselves to you. Welcome to Toronto, Canada-based Bhavish Balhotra, who's an entrepreneur, technologist, and blockchain expert. Belarus-based Arthur Pinchuk, who's an entrepreneur, ecosystem builder, technologist, and ICO expert. California-based Akshay Tutika, who's an entrepreneur, technologist, mentor, and public speaker. Florida-based Matthias Koretsky, who's a tech entrepreneur, growth hacker, Bitcoin and blockchain expert, and fintech guru. And on a very exciting note, but unfortunately on a sad note, London, UK-based Marcello Capotorto, who's a fintech expert, entrepreneur, and senior executive. Wife just had a baby a couple of hours ago, so unfortunately can't join us, but he will join us in an upcoming session. Now, I know you want to meet them, so let me ask our VIP guests to properly introduce themselves to you, starting with Ash. Ash, please say hi to everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you, General Alysia, for having me. My background relevant to blockchain and distributed computing comes with my experience in analytics, evangelizing distributed computing and some of the most successful financial institutions on Wall Street. I'm also a mentor at Alchemist Accelerator and Tech Code Accelerator, where we incubate and accelerate some of the most successful blockchain companies. And I'm also a healthcare, augmented reality healthcare founder. And at Bright Virtual, I founded the first use of holographic communication for remote healthcare, and I'm based in San Francisco.
Welcome, Ash. We're very excited to have you join us. Bhavish, please say hi.
Hi, this is Bhavish Balhotra. I'm based out of Toronto, Canada. I co-founded the world's first small and medium business exchange that utilizes blockchain and mobile technology to help provide small and medium businesses buy and sell their stocks to raise liquidity. I'm currently working on developing smart contract-based solutions that help utilize the inherent advantages of blockchain to solve real-life use cases.
Awesome. Very excited to have you join us. Art, please say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arthur Pinchuk, and I'm from Belarus, Minsk, and we are building a platform. I have a background in software development. I have software development company, and I also have a number of startups founded by myself, and now we've founded decentralized startup accelerator based on blockchain, and now we start for ICO development, and now we in the ICO phase now.
Welcome, Arthur. Very excited to have you join us as well. I know there's some very exciting things happening in Belarus, so we're looking forward to hearing your insights. Last but definitely not least, Matthias, please say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matthias. I'm the founder of Lendering. Lendering is a platform that connects small business owners with different lending products. We are testing in the near future some features that will be lent in cryptocurrencies. And also I'm creating a hedge fund, a crypto hedge fund in Latin America to give exposure to different family offices and private investors here in the region.
Once again, extremely excited to have you join us, Matthias. Welcome. Just before we jump into our questions for our VIP guests, a few shout outs on the screen are contact details for our VIPs. Feel free to reach out to them. Don't forget to keep sending your questions through to inspireme@onlinefiresidechat.com, and we'll do our best to always make sure they get answered. Just a reminder, we have community champions and ever-growing meetup groups in over 80 cities and 60 countries around the globe, including in North and South America, the UK, Europe, Africa, the the Middle East, India, Asia, and Australia. If you'd like to meet up with your local chapters or you'd like to start your own, feel free to reach out to us via email. We'll put you in contact with your local community champion. On that note, thank you to all our champions from around the globe. We host these sessions twice a week because of all your effort. You are the heart and soul of our community, and we wouldn't be here without you. Over the next few months, with all your help, we will be sharing with and inspiring entrepreneurs in more than 100 countries. We know that together we can make this happen. Thanks to our VIP guests today. You are spectacular, and we are very excited to be hosting you. We really are learning from the best, and it's only because of you giving your knowledge and wisdom so generously to our community. Thank you to our growing family of supporters and collaborators from around the developing world for once again hosting sessions for hundreds of entrepreneurs who don't have access to the necessary bandwidth or understanding of the English language to join our sessions on their own. Thank you to all the presidents, prime ministers, ministers, ambassadors, government ministries, UN offices, World Economic Forum, US Embassy Corners, British Council offices, university campuses, schools, business incubators, Chamber of Commerce's, community centers, and all the community radio stations for all your ongoing weekly hosting support and for raising awareness within your regions and communities. Thank you to everyone from our UN Woman team. Again, we're streaming across new live platforms today. If you'd like us to broadcast from a platform near you or one of your radio stations in your community, feel free to reach out to us. We love inspiring and entrepreneurs around the world, so let's make it happen. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, we're going to learn from the best, and I can't wait to get started. Just to make our VIP guests feel as comfortable as possible, the topic for today's session: ICOs, the current state and what's next, considerations, risks, opportunities, potential surprise, both entrepreneurs and the financial ecosystem. In terms of our VIP guests and making you comfortable, we are going to pose a question to one of you. It goes to all of you. Please feel free to share your insights. No answer is wrong. We love intellectual debate, and we love learning from a global panel. So let's put Ash on the hot seat. Ash, I hope you're ready. Let's give you an easy question to start off with. Ash, what is an ICO and how does it work?
Absolutely. Initial coin offering allows blockchain or early stage startups to fundraise through a new medium, allowing to offer a part of their company in a democratized fashion to investors.
Awesome. Thank you, Ash. Bhavish, anything you'd like to add in terms of what Ash was saying, just to get our conversation going?
Yeah, so I think he covered the basic concept pretty well. So ICOs are basically, building up the blockchain ecosystem, which helps you raise funding mechanism, but at the same time, ensure that you can help develop the ecosystem using blockchain technology and the tokens, which become an essential part of your product and helps drive the product adoption.
Thank you, Bhavish. And in terms of how they actually work, would you like to share some insights, Arthur?
Yeah, the basic mechanism, for now, very is smart contracts is something which help us to do it easily, and thanks to Ethereum network, ICO can be managed very easily and without huge knowledge in programming. You can and without great without big financial resources and I think and marketing costs.
Thank you, Arthur. In terms of how they actually work, Ash, are they only for fintech companies in your opinion?
Can you repeat that, Alysia?
Sure, Ash. I think we're having some connectivity problems when it comes to your connection. My apologies. In your opinion, and based on what you've seen, are ICOs only for fintech companies, or do they apply to companies across the board?
I would say primarily the companies I've seen very successful ICOs have been in the blockchain, Ethereum, Bitcoin space, but I have seen outliers as well in healthcare. So it's primarily blockchain and Bitcoin focus as a domain, but there are outliers as well.
We'd love to hear about some of the outliers. Could you comment on one or two of them, Ash?
Yes, one company I'm working with was formed by a former CTO of a multi-billion-dollar hardware company, and he is somewhat related to blockchain and Ethereum, but they're using a reward-based incentivized system for electronic health records. So that's just one example, and that is, they're not obviously not working in the financial services area, but this is one example of how blockchain or Bitcoin can apply to electronic health records or healthcare in general as well.
Thanks, Ash. Fantastic insights. Bhavish, I know you had some thoughts you wanted to share in terms of what Ash was saying. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So the thing with the ICOs is that it's a common misconception that people think that it's only limited to financial services products, but blockchain has had much more wider use cases that we've seen in the industries like logistics, file storage systems, and healthcare, like how Ash mentioned. So blockchain has helped develop solutions in a lot of these areas that we see, and ICOs have helped open up opportunities in these areas. So one of the best examples that we see is Filecoin, which is a data storage solution. They recently had a very successful ICO out there. Then there's Aragon project that's basically helping bring companies onto blockchain. Using the power of blockchain, they're helping create company registries and other activities that can be easily managed. So we are seeing a lot of examples that are coming outside the traditional fintech space that are utilizing the power of blockchain to develop really efficient solutions.
You've touched on some very interesting points there. I'm going to jump right in, Bhavish, and ask you, could you explain in very simple terms what the relationship between ICOs and Bitcoin is?
So I think it's important to understand that Bitcoin is a kind of a cryptocurrency that exists. So like Bitcoin, Ether, which is Ethereum's currency, and then there are other currencies that exist in the ecosystem. ICOs, the initial coin offerings, are basically a platform that came up as one of the use cases of the Ethereum blockchain itself. So back in 2015, when the Ethereum blockchain launched, in order to raise the funds for the foundation to help develop Ethereum blockchain itself, the first ICO was conducted by the Ethereum Foundation, which raised funds to help speed up the development for the Ethereum blockchain. So that's how the first use case for the Ethereum blockchain came in, and ever since then we have seen that Ethereum as a blockchain has developed more use cases. So ICOs basically became a tool to raise funds, but the coin offerings are meant to go way beyond that and not just limit to the funds, but also to help create an ecosystem around it.
Thank you, Bhavish, for clarifying that for so many of our entrepreneurs in the community. And Matthias, we'd love to hear your thoughts, just extending this topic a little further. Could you explain what a token is and what do purchasers of the token ultimately receive?
Sure. Yeah, basically, as they mentioned before, I mean, ICOs are for me, the first stage of the new decentralized ecosystem. So basically, when they raise money from an ICO purchases, they receive like tokens. Basically, tokens are units of account in order to transact in that specific decentralized network. So they mentioned, let's say, Filecoin. So basically, in Filecoin, when you use the token that actually it's for Filecoin too, you need that token in order to rent or purchase specific space in the network. So let's say that I'm renting my CPU space, so I need to do that in the token. And in that case, it's Filecoin. So basically, in saying like very simple, are like the units of account in order to transact in that network.
Thank you so much for clarifying that for us, Matthias. I know this is a new space for many of us, and there's a lot of terminology to learn. Ash, would you like to share any thoughts in terms of the relationship between ICOs and Bitcoin, and your commentary on tokens to make this as real and tangible for our community as possible? I'm sure you can explain further here.
Absolutely. In my opinion, some of the most successful ICOs are those which startups whose product align with the Ethereum and blockchain architecture and utilize that as a product incentive. In the sense that smart contracts and distributed ledger system enable an entirely new way to create an ecosystem within your product's community. And that's why I think it's very important as a company considering an ICO to find a proper alignment with the benefits of the architecture of blockchain and Ethereum, rather than just using it purely as a medium for fundraising.
Thank you so much, Ash. I'm actually going to come back to the community question now. This next question goes to you, Arthur. I think there are a lot of people very interested in your opinion on this topic. Bitcoin is currently trading at more than 4 times the price of gold per ounce. Is this real value? Of course, we'd like your co-panelists' thoughts on this too. Arthur, please go ahead.
Yeah, Bitcoin definitely has its value, and the main value, as I think, is a network which supports and enables all the functions, all the money functions which now Bitcoin has. And
thank you, Arthur.
Yeah.
You're saying, please continue.
No, it's the main idea in Bitcoin for me, for example, basically, it's universal, universal money, and distributed money and distributed currency without without any central bank. And it's, I think, and community is the main strength of the Bitcoin.
Thank you, Arthur, and I'm sure we'd love to go around our panel and get your thoughts, because I mean, this is so topical right now. Bhavish, we would love to hear your thoughts. Is this real value, or is this just craziness talking?
That's a question that we get asked, times and again. So this is like a question that, we need to go back to the paper. So the white paper that was written in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto, who's credited as the father for Bitcoin. Bitcoin was created as a payment store of value. This was created as a P2P share of payments, basically to have an unrestricted, uncensored form of payment mechanism. And given that what we have seen, this was designed exclusively post the 2008 financial crisis. So the pricing that we're seeing, why it's going up and it's reached this levels, is because how efficiently it has been able to move money from one place to another without having to pay so much fees and other restrictions that we have to literally go through in the traditional payment system. So I think that the price is pretty low, if you can say that part from the current perspective, given the kind of use cases and the technological advancements that we're seeing in the Bitcoin space. With the coming of Lightning Network and SegWit being activated recently, we're going to see more and more use cases in terms of payment mechanisms and financial activities on the Bitcoin. So I'm thinking that the price is actually going to go more and more up.
Well, I'm sure there are a lot of entrepreneurs very excited to hear you say this. So thank you, Bhavish. I know Matthias had some insights he wanted to share, and we'd love to get your opinion as well. Ash, Matthias, please go for it.
Yes, I definitely agree with Bhavish. I think that in 3 or 5 years from now, we are going to see the actual price of Bitcoin. We are going to say why we didn't buy it more, because it's so cheap. I mean, being like a scarce digital coin, only 21 million coins are ever going to be minted. So basically right now it's the most undervalued asset in the planet. I think that in the future, the Bitcoin will be the reserve currency of the world. Like dollar is going to lose weight, and the other like governments, the currencies are going to lose weight, and Bitcoin will become the reserve coin of the world. So I'm not worried too much right now if it's working or not as a payment network. For me, the most important thing right now is that the market increase and more people have access to it, so it's become like a global currency. Then when the volatility is decreasing, we can see if we can use it as a payment network.
Thank you, Matthias. Absolutely brilliant insights being shared today. I'm learning so much from all of you. Ash, I'm sure you have some thoughts in terms of cryptocurrencies, ICOs. Are they here to stay, or are they just a fad? Please go for it.
Absolutely. Well, if you take a close look at Tezos recent ICO not too long ago, they had the issue of having an uncapped ICO, which poses a challenge for the early stage investors and limited the community of future investors. This is in no way undermining the quality of the team. They're exploring a new option with how to structure their ICO. But in regards to Bhavesh, I completely agree that Bitcoin has clear potential for growth. My question is, will this patchwork quilt of policy be properly cemented by intergovernmental dialogue? And this really needs to happen over this critical period of the next couple of years.
So thank you, Ash, and I'm going to ask you to explain to our community just 2 points, because I think they're very important in terms of the space, and I think there are a lot of community members that are not 100% sure. Could you please cover just a little bit about white papers? I know Bhavesh touched on them, and also uncapped ICOs. As simple as possible would be most appreciated for all of us.
Absolutely. White papers are used as a combination of marketing materials as well as technological sort of overviews for the startups preparing their initial coin offering. And in many cases, these white papers are used to grow the community and evangelize the product at a large scale. In terms of uncapped ICOs, they allow the startup and the founders to let the market decide how much they want to put in and let the market decide the value. The issue there is if you have early stage investors, whether it's venture capital firms or angel investors, they might have conflicts with uncapped initial coin offerings. That allows a lot more, it creates more issues down the line.
And we're definitely going to be touching on that later during our session. I know VCs, everybody's got their opinions, so we're coming back to you on this, Ash. A question for you, Bhavesh, following up from what Ash was saying. You're in Canada, you're up to some very cool stuff. What are the key trends you are seeing in the ICO space? And we'd love to hear your co-panelists' thoughts on this too. Please go ahead, Bhavesh.
Yeah. So I think the key trends that we are seeing is that the use cases have proliferated from just being financial use cases in the start to much more varied industry use cases that we are seeing. So we are seeing ICOs coming out in the space of logistics. We're also seeing ICOs in healthcare and a lot of other areas where we are seeing a lot of work that's happening. Using blockchain. So these use cases are not just there for the sake of raising funding, but a lot of these are actually utilizing blockchain, and they have a very strong need to use blockchain to help simplify a lot of processes in terms of like the work that they're doing right now. So we're seeing a lot of trend where people are getting more and more aware. Other industries are having a keen look at how they can utilize blockchain and use ICOs as a mechanism to not just fund them, but also develop an ecosystem where the services can be moved on entirely onto blockchain. Another big trend that we're seeing is regulation. So like how Ash touched on it, there's a huge wake-up call for most of the regulators in big jurisdictions like the US. China recently banned the ICOs, and then Russia and Singapore and other jurisdictions are also issuing advisory. So we're seeing a lot of regulatory talk that's happening. I'm pretty sure that we will see some, at least a light touch regulation coming in place that will help mature the market so that, it brings some order to it. But yes, we're seeing that the regulators have started to get up and take notice in this space.
Thank you, Bhavesh, and we'll definitely be coming back to it because it's hot news right now, and we'd love your expert insights. Arthur, I know you in one of the hubs right now for the space. We'd love to hear from you. What are the key trends you are seeing in the ICO space?
Well, first key trend is regulation, because it's not all the states now have it, but some of the states like China, US and Singapore and Russia started to regulate it, and I think it will be good because it's all the people who ask us help with ICO. They very interested. Well, they need some info where to where to incorporate, where to start their businesses, and good, clear and clear rules will help all the ecosystem, and of course it will be more suitable for entrepreneurs to join to ICO, to start ICO, and to move to blockchain community and cryptocurrency community.
Thank you, Arthur. And I know Matthias had some insights he wanted to share here. Matthias, please go for it.
Yeah, basically, I wanted to talk about the China bans. I think that well, as Fred Wilson said, like everything that China bans, invest in. So they ban Facebook, Google. So basically, they're seeing here something really scary for them. So basically, that means that this new method of fundraising or token distribution, it's something good. I think that regulation should be put in place, but not like in a total ban. I think that that's the worst way to do it. I think that it should be like an easy regulation at the beginning, so we see how this new technology evolves, and then when we have like mainstream technology, like all ICOs and everything, see which are the best regulations. I don't think that unregulated market is going to be like the mainstream thing. I think that regulation is going to come in, but I think that it should be doing in a very slow way, not trying to kill the technology from its roots.
Thank you, Matthias. And Ash, I know we had a chat about this. In your opinion, what is the impact of China's actions regarding ICO?
You know, I was actually just in Beijing, and I was able to meet some stall leaders as well as the governor of the Hebei province. And what I see the ban as a temporary solution, and I know that China can see initial coin offerings or ICOs as a huge way to incentivize innovation. They're investing billions of dollars in incubating blockchain startups, and I think in the future they'll release or modify the structure of ICOs to accommodate the landscape in Asia Pacific.
Thank you, Ash. And a quick question for you, and it goes to your co-panelists as well. In your opinion, is anyone actually doing ICO right?
I would say, as Bhavesh mentioned earlier, companies that utilize the benefits of the smart contracts, distributed ledgers, and the Ethereum architecture within their product, those companies will succeed the most with ICOs, and that's my opinion, because they're utilizing the benefits of the architecture as well as the community to help them in the customer acquisition as well as fundraising. And I think companies that are using the ICOs as a pure means to fundraising might consider approaching venture capitalists instead.
You've touched on a very interesting point. That was actually my next question. I'm coming back to you on that. I know Bhavesh has got some insights he just wants to share here first. Bhavesh, please go for it.
Yeah, so I think I agree with what Ash said. Majority of the ICOs who are doing it right are the products who are building building a good ecosystem, using the blockchain features and functionalities to build a good product. And I think that's very important. You have to have a good product market fit to justify the use of token sales for your product. So there's good products like District 0x, Aragon, which has done it pretty good out there. Status has done it very well. These are the companies which are actually utilizing blockchain, and they've shown that that this solution was only possible because of utilizing the blockchain and the token that are created by the system. So I think these are the kind of products that we will definitely see that will succeed in the long run, and will create a good market value.
Thank you, Bhavesh. I'm going to quickly jump on in before we move on to the fundraising side of things. We have a question for you. We'd love for you to just quickly touch on it. What is actually occurring transactionally in an ICO? So, for example, what is being sold or traded? Is it equity? Is it debt? Future discounts, future services? Could you please just clarify for our community?
Sure. So the thing behind these ICOs is we are not, none of these ICOs sell any equity, any debt, or any kind of future equity in the ICO. So the ICOs are basically a fundraising mechanism where you are basically helping the project raise money to complete the roadmap that they have envisioned in the white paper. So the white paper, think of it more like a technical paper that you have put down, which states that this is what you want to achieve. These are the steps that you will take to achieve this particular roadmap. And this is where you see that the final product is going to be. And what are the practical use cases that you see of that particular product? Based on that white paper, investors would come in and say, oh, you know what, this idea really helps me solve a problem that no existing product solves. And that's how typically the investments would occur. So think of it more like Kickstarter, but in the blockchain space. That's how typically it works. And the underlying technology that basically runs, so how that runs is basically Ethereum in 2015 created an ERC20, which was a change request that happened, which created the ability to create smart contracts. So smart contracts help you create legally binding contracts on the Ethereum blockchain, and where you could have multiple use cases to develop out that. One of the use cases that came out was basically to issue tokens using these smart contracts, which are basically ensuring that you can clearly identify the legal owners of those tokens.
Brilliant insights. You can see he's an expert at what he's doing. Thank you, Bhavish, for that. I'm sure we'll have a lot of community questions coming up regarding what you just said. Talking about funding, Ash, I know you touched on it, but we'd love to dive a little deeper. And this question goes to our whole panel, starting with you, Ash. What do you think is a better alternative? ICO, fundraising through venture capital, or angel investment? Ash, please go for it.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's very determinant on your exit strategy and your roadmap for an exit. As an early stage entrepreneur, I'm focusing on customer acquisition. Can I hit these goals for customer acquisition? And can I have enough capital to reach my exit? So for many blockchain companies, ICOs could be a really pivotal way to get that quick injection of capital that you'll need to acquire these customers and to grow your community. For companies not utilizing the blockchain architecture in their products, ICOs might hurt them for later stage investments. But there are also other boutique firms that own large stakes in ICOs as well. So I think there's no better alternative. You really have to think about your goals as an entrepreneur for an exit, and if the goals of your future shareholders will align with your ICO and the structure of your ICO.
Thank you, Ash. We'd, of course, love to hear your co-panelists' thoughts there. Arthur, please share your insights.
For me, ICO is more about customer development, not mostly, but more, because it's a great way to introduce your product to community, to get early adopters, and to get insights from investors, experts, and teammates, and all the people interested in your product, because it's blockchain sphere is quite young, and it's a lot of enthusiastic people here, and they're ready to share their experience and share their knowledge and share their finances to startups. I think it's a great way for community-based products. Yeah, but all the other sources of capital is also I think good for startups at different stages and different orientations, not blockchain. And I think in the future will be some mixed reality and some mixed venture capitals and angels and ICOs. It will be some fusion of all these techniques. and better.
Thank you, Arthur. Matthias, I'm sure you have an opinion, and of course, Bhavish, we'd love to hear yours quickly. Matthias, please share your thoughts. In your opinion, what's the best alternative?
Yes, I think that ICOs at this point make sense if you want to do like the token distribution to early users, basically to solve like the chicken and egg problem. I don't think right now it's the best idea if you're doing like let's say a startup on top of Ethereum blockchain or Bitcoin blockchain. I don't know, if you are developing a cryptocurrency exchange or a remittances company, whatever. I think that I don't know if it's the best way to go through an ICO. In that case, I prefer that like most traditional funding options like angels or venture capitals. But I do believe that in the futures, once the ecosystem is more robust, I think that the ICOs could be a great mechanism to raise money to, I don't know, to create like debt or equity or futures purchases of tokens, etc. But at this point, for me, only makes sense if you want to do like a distribution to early users or developers.
Thank you, Matthias. And last but definitely not least, Bhavish, we'd love to hear your insights here. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just try to backtrack a bit on this one. So ICOs came into play because, outside the US and, especially countries where we were seeing a lot of innovation, for the VCs, getting the deal flow was a big challenge. And, for these companies which were working some really cool projects, raising funds was definitely proving to be a big difficulty. So ICOs have basically helped democratize that process in terms now that you can, basically show the world what you are doing, and then, based on whatever you have presented to them, they can invest. What we are seeing right now is that, there's no one right way where you can say that, it's either the VC funding or the ICO. What we have seen is a blend that's happening where VCs are channeling on a lot of these ICOs to help develop a stronger deal flow, not just within the US, but outside the US. And this is a growing space where we will definitely see more action happening.
Thank you, Bhavish. And I'm going to jump right in here, given all that you're up to. What are some of the other biggest challenges you've seen in token and blockchain innovation to date? And this goes to your co-panelists as well. Bhavish, please answer. Please go for it.
I think the biggest challenge that we're seeing is given that every time there's a huge funding influx, the innovation suffers, to a great extent. In that, now that we're seeing that most of the ICOs that are coming out are basically dealing more with the low-hanging fruits, the use cases, simple use cases like payments, remittances, and just the financial stuff. But initial days when the ICOs were still as a more selective medium, we were seeing more innovation. I'm not saying that the innovation has ended, but it's just that now when we had like out of 10 projects, we had 8 projects that were innovative. Now you have almost 70% of the projects that are not innovative, or solutions where you would see and say, you know what, maybe you don't really need a blockchain or an ICO to really get your project off the ground. So that's one of the biggest challenges that we're seeing. Also, one interesting point that Ash touched about is about the efficient use of capital. We're seeing a big trend in terms of these uncapped ICOs coming out, which demonstrates that they have not thought through in terms of the budgeting and the funding that needs to be taken care of. The good projects that we always see in the ICO space have already thought through their roadmap. They have thought through in terms of what their capital deployment is going to be and how effectively they're going to utilize that piece in that. So you've seen ICOs which have very clearly defined milestones that they're going to raise this much amount, and that's going to be their hard cap when they're going to work with that. So they've got thought through that whole plan, and I think these are the ICOs that we will see succeed.
Thank you, Bhavish, and I know Arthur's got some thoughts he wants to share here. Arthur, please go for it.
Yeah, there is great economist Friedrich von Hayek who published a great publication on private money. It's I think it's tokens. It's like new. It's like new, but easy way to publish your personal money. And it's, as Vitalik Buterin said, there will be no single blockchain. There will be a lot of great number of blockchains which will be interconnected in the future. And I think it's every community could have personal token money or currency. I don't know how it can be named, but it's and it will be a great market of tokens. We see it already. I think it will be much bigger and broader.
Thank you, Arthur. And the future does look very exciting, but I think something we all want to hear more about is this topic of regulation. I know a lot of celebrities have been talking, SEC's been talking, the Chinese government's been very active, Russia's been active, Singapore's been active. Ash, what is the future in terms of regulation, in your opinion? What is the best outcome? What is the worst outcome? Of course, we'd love to hear your co-panelists' thoughts on this too. Ash, please share your honest opinion.
Yes, I often recall Tim Draper's former sentiments, and he had made sort of a proposal for the future and a proposal for the SEC, in which he outlined his ideal structure for taxing and regulating ICOs, in which the SEC would tax companies that raise funds using ICOs which don't use the blockchain architecture, whereas they wouldn't tax companies that use the ICOs as a means of fundraising, but also a means to grow their community and incentivize the token architecture. So that's his proposal, and I think that's the future of a potential future for regulation for ICOs, allowing the companies that utilize the benefits and align with their product, and allowing them tax incentives or no taxes, and taxing the other companies that have more uncapped ICOs or use it purely as a fundraising methodology. And that's how I see it playing out in the United States or EMEA. For Asia Pacific, as I mentioned earlier, it's a very intricate patchwork quilt, which is very determinant on intergovernmental discussions, and these critical meetings will be taking place over the next year.
Thank you, Ash. And I know your co-panelists also have some interesting insights to share here. Matthias, please go ahead.
Well, I think that at this point, the best way to move forward is kind of a slow or easy regulations, more like a best practices thing than anything else. I mean, doing like bans or that kind of things, or license, we remember when in 2013, 2014, the New York released this bid license, and was horrible for all new companies trying to do innovation in that field. So I think that anything related to government licenses or total bans are going to be a very bad solution for that. I think that you can't fight technology. If the technology is good enough and it's already here, it's going to stay here. So I think that at this point, the best way to move forward, it's a very easy regulation, or let's say best practices to do an ICO or to invest in an ICO.
Thank you, Matthias. I know Bhavish and Arthur have some insights they'd also like to share here. Bhavish, please go for it.
Yeah, so just adding up to the points that my other co-panelists said, regulations didn't save us from 2008 financial crisis also, but they are unavoidable part of the whole ecosystem in order to prevent the bad actors from taking too much undue advantage of a good ecosystem. We will definitely see regulations, and in the past we have worked, me and my team have closely worked with the regulators in Singapore and other jurisdictions, and we've seen that there's a more growing attitude where they want to talk about having a light touch regulation, setting up these kind of sandboxes, where they can help these companies grow and reach a mature stage before a full-fledged set of regulations can be implemented. And I think that's important because you want to create a level playing field where the already existing big players who have a lot of funding available do not stifle innovation. So I think we will definitely see an approach that's not going to be equal across the board. We've already seen how China has taken a much more harsher approach compared to other jurisdictions like Singapore and Switzerland. But definitely, we will see that there will be a set of regulations that will start coming across the board in this space.
Fascinating insights being shared today. Arthur, I know you had some thoughts you'd also like to share here. Please go ahead.
Yeah, regulation is quite a hot topic, and but technology of the blockchain technology is quite young for now, and it's not all the people in IT sphere have a good understanding of blockchain and technology and possibilities of its development. People in governments don't understand even less than IT guys, and this is now the main problem, because all the people don't understand. They don't. They cannot. They have a fear to it, and I think it's if blockchain community and will help people understand technology better. I think it's the regulations will be more soft and more more useful for blockchain technology and the cryptocurrency world. And I think it's regulations will be in a few years. We will see changes in opinions of the governments, as we see it in Russia. For example, a few years Bitcoin was banned, and now it's now Russia pushing all the blockchain, all the stuff related to blockchain. And I'm sure we will see it in China and in other countries, because when people in governments are conservative, and it's good, because it's a stabilized system, but more such disruptive technologies like blockchain will have a long-term impact, and it will be and I'm sure that regulation will be reviewed a few years after today's bans.
Thank you, Arthur. You've touched on some very interesting points. I have to admit, we actually got hacked by some Bitcoin hackers, and I had some meetings with some senior ministers in the British government the day it happened, and nobody really knew what to do. Everyone was running around thinking, this is pretty scary stuff, and we never had the answers, and we have tech backgrounds, and the government never had the answers. So the future is exciting, but very scary. So thank you for touching on that, Arthur. Our next question goes to Bhavish, but of course it goes to our co-panelists as well. Bhavish, it's a long question, but we'd love to hear your insights. A lot of our entrepreneurs across the globe are considering ICOs. They come to us for advice. Some of them may be thinking the right direction. Some of them may not necessarily be thinking the right direction. We'd love to hear your insights in terms of where they should be looking if they are looking to raise an ICO, what challenges they should prepare themselves for, absolutely any advice that you believe they should know at this point that you believe could help them succeed in this space. We'd love to hear. And of course, your co-panelists would also be great to share their insights. Bhavish, please go for it.
Yeah, this is a good question, and I think this is very, very important for everybody to understand that ICO is one of the many use cases that we have for the blockchain. It's not just the only use case, but it's important that you use it wisely, like any other funding mechanism that you would typically involved in. So if you're taking VC money, you have a responsibility. Similarly, when you're taking money using ICOs, there's a huge responsibility in order to make sure that you deliver on the project, deliver on the roadmap. You have a good plan in terms of what your solution is going to be and how you're going to use. But I think most critical step you have to take even before you start thinking about ICO is this model meant for me, and how do I see that I will be utilizing blockchain in my project? Does it really make sense? These are the really important questions that needs to be answered before you even think about that. And I think the next step that people need to look at is from a regulation perspective. I would always advise anybody who's trying to do an ICO to first consult their lawyers, look at what the legal challenges are, what their legal considerations are that they need to look at before doing an ICO. You don't want to have an ICO and then have issues where you have the regulators calling you up and they find that you have done something illegal. So please, that's really important for you to look at. And I think from a technology perspective, it's really critical to evaluate everything very carefully, have the best set of developers who are working on developing these solutions. We have seen a lot of ICOs getting hacked. It's all because they didn't think through the whole thing, and then you had an ICO which was sloppily done with poor code execution and all that stuff. So it's really important that you treat all these aspects with utmost importance before you even start thinking about an ICO.
Thank you, Bhavish. And we have a very interesting question for you coming up next regarding treating these things with respect and not getting into trouble with the law. We just wanted to hear Arthur's thoughts and then Ash's thoughts on this topic. So Arthur, please go for it.
Yes. Well, I want to point to too many ideas. First one is clear. Describe your idea as clear as you can, because it's blockchain is not so easy to understand, and the project based on blockchain is much harder to understand. Well, how a blockchain used and how it will help people and how to join it. Well, first idea is clearness. Well, second idea is use in terms of technology, use existing solutions. There are a lot of open source token cells, smart contracts, a lot of libraries to use and use existing technologies, bulletproof, and you will and it will be, and your ICO will be in good condition. Yeah.
Thank you, Arthur. And Ash, I'm sure you've got some insights to share here. Please go ahead.
For entrepreneurs, fundraising should be a tool to bring you through the labyrinth of customer acquisition and the challenges customer acquisition brings. If you're doing an ICO, it's important to not forget that your team, having a highly curated team, having a highly curated product vision, a strong advisory board, and having a clear path to exit and return for your shareholders is important, regardless of having an ICO or venture capital round, or having angel investors or an angel syndicate, whichever medium. The team and the product and the traction is very crucial. So that I very much wanted to elaborate that as well.
Thank you, Ash. I'm going to jump right in. We've got a very cheeky question here. So Paris Hilton and Floyd Mayweather are promoting ICOs. I don't know if you as our VIPs know this, but we have a lot of very high-profile celebrities who are passionate about our community and join us for our sessions. Ash, what advice would you give celebrities considering promoting ICOs? This goes to your co-panelists as well.
I would say having a personal sort of advisory board with technical thought leaders to actually walk you through the use cases you're investing in would be crucial. If not, you're not going to probably understand the future roadmap for the product and how the product would achieve an exit situation.
Thank you, Ash. Bhavish, do you have any insights for our celebrity guests or followers thinking of promoting ICOs?
Yeah, I think it's really important that all these celebrities who are promoting the ICOs, they have a huge fan following who follows them blindly. They've got a lot of faith in these people in terms of what they promote. So I think it's their moral responsibility that they research, whatever they are promoting. It's really, really imperative for them to better understand what the company is trying to achieve, who those the people are backing that particular company, and what the technology is all about, so that it's really easy for them to understand as to what they're standing behind. It's not just simply about money, but it's also about your reputation. And I think that's really important for these people to understand that if you put yourself to market something that turns out to be a lemon later on, that's not something that's gonna look good for your fans.
Great advice. Matthias, I know you had some thoughts you wanted to share here too. Please go for it.
Yeah, I think that blockchain technology, ICOs, and even Bitcoin, it's pretty new concept, and it actually is not it's not yet in mainstream. So I think it's pretty dangerous, like celebrities like Paris Hilton promoting ICOs, because the followers of these people are not people that are mostly related to the technology world. So they probably think that if they buy this thing, they're going to become millionaires in 2 days or something like that. So I think it's dangerous. I think that they should continue doing what they do, like being celebrities, and that's it. I mean, we are not in a stage that you can promote an ICO or something to mainstream people that actually didn't understand the basic things of blockchain, or Bitcoin, or how this technology works. I think that it's dangerous.
Thank you so much, Matthias. I know that Arthur's got some insights he wants to share here. Please go for it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, giving investment advices is quite tough thing. And before contributing to any team, you should know who is these people, because a lot of projects. There are a lot of projects in ICO world which just scam, and it's very reputation, but reputation is very is very unique unique thing, and you should look at people who you're working with. It's the main idea.
Absolutely. Now we get to our favorite part of our session today, and we do this every week. So we're going to ask each of our guests to please share their insights as quickly as they can on this question before we jump into our tweet piece of advice. So starting with Bhavish. Bhavish, what excites you in 2017, and what industries are ripe for disruption? I know you got some interesting insights here. Bhavish, please go for it.
I think really the stuff that's interesting is the way how ICO as a market has exploded, and it's given such a democratized system to fundraise for so many great ideas that exist across the world. It's also helping VCs take note, so the deal flow is increasing. We are seeing more strong interest in the blockchain ecosystem itself. So I think all in all, this has been a great year for the blockchain as an ecosystem as a whole, where we have seen much more user awareness. And I think that's what the aim has been right from day one, because this technology is meant for the masses. It's meant to democratize most of the existing systems. I think two areas where I'm going to see the biggest disruption happening is financial services for sure. And the other industry where I see a big disruption happening is logistics and supply chain. These are the two areas where I can see that there's a lot of work that's being done. So consortiums like Hyperledger, Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, and other foundations are doing some really great work in helping promote a lot of great work in this space. So I'm really excited that we will see more and more use cases. But this year has turned out to be one of the blockbuster years for blockchain.
Thank you, Bhavish. Ash, please let us know what excites you in 2017. What industries are ripe for disruption?
We're at such an interesting constellation of real-world use cases with blockchain and key enterprise pain. And the key to success for blockchain companies in this volatile fundraising landscape is focusing on these key enterprise pains.
Thank you, Ash. Matthias, what excites you in 2017? What industries are ripe for disruption?
I think that the first one will be, of course, like financial services, and probably the next one that I'm very interested is in the decentralization of storage. I think that storage is a very big industry, and this type of technology will help a lot.
Thank you, Matthias. And Arthur, what industries are ripe for disruption? What excites you?
Well, actually, I'm mostly excited about decentralized autonomous organization, because it could be disrupt the whole ecosystem of ERP products and CRMs and all these stuff, because it's well, it's like operation system for business, and where you can install different smart contracts which run all the corporate procedures on a blockchain as transparently and efficiently and with low transaction cost. I think it will be really great disrupt.
Thank you, Arthur. Now we're going to ask our VIPs to just prepare their tweet piece of advice for all of us to apply should we decide to go on our own ICO journeys. In the meantime, thanks to everyone for this truly amazing session. Just to keep you posted on our upcoming sessions with some of the world's best joining us again as panelists. On September 10, we have creating strong, sustainable company cultures, why, when, how, transitions, challenges, opportunities, and case studies. On September 13th, entrepreneurial ventures that become engines that produce value independent of their founders. Then on September 20th, relationships in the startup world, their value, strategy for reaching your goals, tactics for common activities such as making requests and managing requests. They're definitely sessions you don't want to miss. Now let's ask our VIPs to quickly prepare their to tell us their tweet piece of advice. I know we are running out of time, so I'm sorry if we run through them. Ash, your tweet piece of advice.
The key way to survive a volatile funding landscape is to focus on mission-critical enterprise pain.
Well done. Arthur, your tweet piece of advice.
Be smart, be transparent, and use blockchain and smart contracts smartly.
Very good advice. Bhavish, your tweet piece of advice.
I would just say, don't optimize your ICOs for cash grab. Lasting tokens will optimize for user empowerment.
Thank you, Bhavish. And Matthias, your tweet piece of advice.
Yes, as Naval Ravikant says, I think that smart IPO investors read the prospectus, smart ICOs investors read the code.
Great thoughts. And my tweet piece of advice, be grateful for everything you have. It's a privilege to learn from VIPs such as these international thought leaders. Thank you again to our thought leaders, to our community. We love hearing from you. You can find me as well as our VIP guests on LinkedIn. Please keep us up to date with all your exciting news. And I'm sure they'd love to hear from you in terms of your ICO journeys. If you enjoyed our session today, remember to share your invitations with all the entrepreneurs in your community. We are trying to reach a 100-country goal, and we know with your help we can make it happen. Don't give up. Remember to keep hustling. The entrepreneur's journey is not an easy one, as I'm sure these great entrepreneurs will tell you. Thank you again to everyone for an amazing session. On the count of 3, I'm going to ask our VIPs to shout bye. 1, 2, 3. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Guys, shout bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Bye. See you soon, guys.